Okay, I decided to look up at the clock. It's 12:25, which is interesting because 12:25 is Christmas, but today happens to be Valentine's Day, and I happen to be in red, coincidentally, but I'm in red. All the other days I happen to be wearing this robe too, which aren't Valentine's or Christmas. So, I have actually been trying to make this video for quite some time now. In the past, I have really tried not to edit or stop the video, but some weird things have been happening. So I am trying once again, just starting over from the beginning. So, okay, so now I have to start from the beginning, which means that things I've said, I have to remember that I didn't say them yet. So anyway, I just got done making myself a little smoothie with kefir, Kefir, which I'm going to tell you about. I'm not sure if it's considered dairy or not. It's actually sold in like the place in the store where like the yogurt and stuff is sold, so maybe it is a form of dairy. And I have avocado in there, frozen banana, and it's interesting because I had someone tell me I shouldn't eat bright colored foods, which include avocado and banana. Which is really interesting because it's really hard sometimes to do what other people think you should not do. I'm looking every which way. It's because I'm trying to formulate my thoughts. So, if you do what people think you shouldn't do, then you kind of get judged. You kind of can get grief. You can kind of get people trying to convince you should do otherwise. I don't know. There's a book by Anita Moorjani, which I swear I should get a commission on at this point because I keep telling people about her book. It's called Dying to Be Me. And in the book, she talks about how there are certain, I don't want to say religious, but there are certain belief systems that say meat is important. There are certain belief systems that say sugar is important. There are certain systems that say certain other things are important. So how do you know which really is important? So I am really struggling with what do I find important. And I only say I'm struggling because even though I think I know, there's a lot of voices that say otherwise. And part of the reason I'm getting a late start today is that when I woke up, I just really was in a lousy mood. I was really struggling because I'm supposed to be getting a PET scan. And for anyone who may not know my history, back in September or October, I had gotten a PET scan, and there was a progression of a progression. So basically, earlier in the year, there had been 3 spots. When I looked again, there were 5 spots, and apparently some of the spots had gotten bigger, and they basically wanted me to be on chemo. And I freaked out. I made a video where I was in tears at the train station. I was ready to give up on life and just sign out for the last time. I actually really felt like my life force was going away at the time. I didn't see a way out. The doctors at the time had told me that I could be a candidate for a thing called HIPEC surgery, which wouldn't necessarily guarantee anything. So basically, they would cut me open, they would take out anything they could get to, and they would pour warms of chemo into my abdomen. They would shake me around on the table, they'd take out the chemo, they'd sew me up, and they'd hope for the best. It's major heavy-duty surgery, which can kill some people. And if the surgery doesn't kill some people, sometimes hospital infections afterwards can kill people. And there's a good long repair time, and it burns the inside of your body. And it doesn't necessarily get to everything that's going on. So the areas that couldn't be touched with some sort of surgical tool could still not be affected either, which means it can come out of the surgery and still potentially have things going on. So, and then who knows how the hell you'd feel after all that. So I wasn't sure I wanted to do that. But I had been contemplating it, and if I wanted to do it, I had to have a CAT scan. So I was not in a good place. They wanted me to be on chemo. And within a couple of days, I kind of pulled myself up by the bootstraps, as they say, got myself out of the abyss, and decided to take a cross-country trip. I went for 27, 28 days. Went from Maryland down to Savannah, and then made my way across the country to LA, and then went up to Seattle, and then flew home. About 5,200 miles, and most of them were by myself. The first 600 down to Savannah, I was with someone else. The beautiful and lovely Ellen Cornett, who had offered me that part of the trip. And so, which was awesome because I didn't have a car rental, I didn't have gas, I didn't have to pay for places to stay for a couple of days, and I got the company of the lovely Ellen. However, most of the rest of the trip, I took by myself, and I think it was exactly what I needed to do. I didn't have to worry about anybody else. If I was emotional, I could be emotional, although I was nowhere near as emotional as I thought I would be. It was just incredible. So I came back. I went to the doctor pretty much immediately. I literally went to the doctor the next day, and I got a scan. Actually, no, I did not get a scan. I just got blood work, and my tumor marker was actually lower than when I had left, and I had not been on the Avastin treatment because when I freaked out, I didn't get Avastin treatment that day. I wanted to be as clear-headed as possible, so I didn't get the Avastin. So I had been off the Avastin for probably 3 months at that point, 2-3 months, and my tumor marker was lower. So I thought, yay, cool. The trip really had done wonders for me. I met so many wonderful people. Had so many incredible conversations, got all kinds of hugs, had prayers. I went to a church along the way. I went and met the shaman along the way. Incredible. So I thought, wow, this is really great. So I came back, and I thought, if I could hold on to what I had on this trip, it'd be great. Well, 3 weeks later, my tumor marker was raised considerably. So, well, not terrible considerably, but given the parameters it's been in, considerably. So, trying to think. I don't remember the exact sequence of events, but I'm not sure if it was that time or the time after I wound up getting back on the Avastin because I was hoping to stay off of it. And I was even contemplating taking my board out because one of the things I was told by the doctors before I went on my trip was, I forgot to mention, this is what happens too, I think, partially when you have chemo, and then the other part is I also had a hysterectomy, which I understand when women go through a change of life, this can happen too. So, forgive me. But anyway, so besides the HIPEC surgery, the other option was chemo. And the doctor that I had seen had said, when you do chemo, one of four things can happen. One, it can take care of cancer totally. The doctor almost immediately said, I don't think that's going to happen here. 2, it can minimize it. So I guess if it's whatever it is, it can bring it down some, but probably won't go away. 2, it just kind of keeps it even. So whatever's going on doesn't get worse. Or 4, it Doesn't do anything. So, imagine, if you will, sitting in the doctor's office and hearing this wonderful news. So, basically, this was the first time anybody had actually spoken to me as frankly about this. It always sounded like there were other options and other possibilities and everything else. And here he's telling me, essentially, that if I get on chemo, which is what they're recommending, I'm not going to get off of it the rest of my life. So, imagine that's why, I'm kind of getting emotional as I'm thinking about it. Why I was devastated, because chemo took me away from myself. It made me feel like shit, and excuse my language if that bothers you, but it did. And I didn't do anything for months, and I can't live like that. I mean, if nothing else, too, I just, it took me away visually. I mean, I had no eyebrows, I had no hair, but it just took me away mentally. Chemo brain is a bear. It's actually more than that, but I'll refrain on that word for you. So here he is telling me these things. So basically, the way I understand it, and it's interesting because there are the perceptions that people can have lots of options when it comes to cancer and treatment. Well, when it comes to ovarian cancer, apparently there aren't very many options. And part of the reason I wasn't eligible for other surgery was because there were spots that weren't able to be surgically removed. And there was just too many of them. So there really aren't options. So they tell me recently that they want to do a PET scan. And I've been thinking about this on and off for a while now. I don't know what the point of PET scan is at this point. Because I get it, and they tell me it's worse. Mentally, it will mess with me. Some people say, well, it's better to have the information than not. Well, is it really? Is it really better to know that something is happening than, especially if you can't really do anything about it? I'm not convinced of that. Excuse me. I know some people would be like, well, you should do chemo. That's what the doctors are recommending. They even reiterated it today when I called to cancel the PET scan. They would like to see me on chemo. Well, that's lovely, and I understand that. And I understand that they think that there are repercussions of me not doing these things. But there are repercussions of me doing what they want me to do anyway. I just think that you hear these stories, you see these things about people who deteriorate when they're on chemo. Chemo messes with your body. It doesn't help your body. I mean, maybe it helps in one way, but it messes with you in other ways. My digestion hasn't been the same since I was on chemo last year. I guess it wasn't always that great anyway, but it's even worse now. I mean, somebody told me at some point that someone was told, go on chemo, and the guy's like, well, how long will I have to live? And they're like 6 months or something. And he didn't do chemo, and he lived 9? Or it was the reverse or something. I think he lived, I don't know, but he still lived a decent length of time within the context that they had given him. So, if by some chance I only had X amount of time to live, I would rather live it chemo-free than go through what chemo would do to me. It would just suck the life out of me. So, I debated whether I want to talk about this stuff because I don't want people to think, oh God, she's dying. Because that won't help me. Um, and I don't want people to make assumptions, which is why I've never talked about what stage I was in or anything like that. I thought about making these videos and making log entries that would come later after everything was said and done, whether I was, bye-bye or whether I got past this somehow. But I think it's better to just put it out there and to ask for prayers and to ask for your support. And if you have communities that do Reiki and do prayerful work and what's, please feel free to include me in that. And I so desperately, desperately, desperately want to get back on the road again. And that's an awkward place for me because, if you think you're going to die and you kind of pull that card, which is not what I was doing, but if you pull that card, then, you get to this point and people are like, well, she already did it, or whatever. But the trip is about so much more than just me. It's really about shedding light on stuff that people don't talk about. It's really about changing the perspective and the conversation we have around cancer and how we interact with each other. And it's not just cancer either. I mean, I find people getting all sniffly here. People deal with fibromyalgia, people deal with other stuff. And they have issues to contend with as well that people don't understand. So this is a bigger conversation. This is a human conversation. This is about us. And I feel so important about it. I feel so important about it. It feels important to me, is really what I'm trying to say. So I'm not quite sure what to say other than I know that I'm sniffling now. But I just kind of wanted to put this out there. And if for some reason you would like to learn more about me in general, you can go to relatetocancer.com, which is my blog. If you want to help me get funded so I can get back on the road. The computer just went to sleep. Almost. Help me get back on the road. I have a PayPal account. You can send money to thank you at Jolope, JOLPE.com. And thank you just the way it sounds. And I also have a GoFundMe page, gofundme.com/RIOJ8. There's actually another page that's more specific to the trip, but I've tried to do things different ways. But that page works. It all goes into the same kitty. So anyway, I'm hopeful that I'm living the life I'm supposed to. I'm hopeful that I'm doing what I need to be doing. And I'm hopeful that I'll get to stick around for a while and to continue to do it. And in any way that you want to support that, whether it's spiritually, financially, prayerfully, I'll take it. So thank you. Have a lovely Valentine's. Lots and lots and lots of love to you. Lots of Jolope to you, actually, which stands for joy, love, and peace. So take care. Have a great day.